6 a.m. on a quiet suburban morning. And there I was in my pajamas, coffee in hand, staring at two police officers while Karen Whitaker smirked from her driveway like she'd just won the neighborhood Olympics. Little did she know that calling the cops on a widow and her nephew would be the move that sent her perfect little empire crashing down. I never planned to become the neighborhood whistleblower. 2 years after losing my husband, I sold our Chicago brownstone and moved to Evergreen Meadows, a shiny new subdivision outside Sacramento. 140 pristine homes, perfectly manicured lawns, and a community pool that sparkled like something out of a real estate brochure. I paid extra for the corner lot with the pool view because I thought waking up to kids laughing in the water might help me feel human again. My name is Elena Santos. I spent 25 years as a forensic accountant, chasing fraud for the state and private firms. After my husband passed, I retired early, figuring I'd garden, read books, and finally breathe. The first few months were peaceful. I followed every silly rule: trash cans hidden by 7 a.m. Lawn exactly 3 inches. No political signs bigger than a postcard. I even smiled and nodded when the HOA welcome committee showed up with cookies and a 30-page rulebook. That committee was led by Linda Whitaker. Everyone called her Karen behind her back, but never to her face. 52. Realtor of the Year 3 years running. HOA president. And married to a county supervisor. She smelled like vanilla candle exploded in a Bath and Body Works factory and carried a thick binder everywhere like it was the Constitution. At the welcome visit she smiled so wide her veneers practically glowed. Welcome to Evergreen Meadows, Elena. We're like family here. As long as everyone follows the standards, we'll all thrive. I nodded politely. Inside, something already felt off. But grief makes you tired. I let it slide. Then my nephew Ethan came for the summer. 17. Smart. Quiet. The son of my late husband's brother. He was working at a local tech camp and needed a place to stay before heading to college. Having him around filled the house with noise again: video games, sneakers by the door, teenage laughter. It felt like medicine. The trouble started on a sunny Saturday in July. Ethan invited 2 buddies from camp over for a pool day. Polite kids. They brought their own towels, said please and thank you, and stayed in the shallow end. 90 minutes of normal teenage fun. I sat under an umbrella with a book, finally relaxing. Then she appeared. Linda marched poolside in pristine white tennis whites, clipboard in one hand, phone in the other. Vanilla perfume cutting through the chlorine like a chemical weapon. She stopped at the edge, voice loud enough for the whole deck to hear. Excuse me. I need guest passes for these young men right now. I looked up, confused. Guest passes? They're Ethan's friends from work. They've been here less than 2 hours. Her smile was sharp enough to slice bread. Rules are rules, Mrs. Santos. HOA bylaws clearly state no more than 2 guests per household per week without pre-approval and passes. This is excessive usage. Pool privileges for Lot 84 are suspended immediately pending review. The other families suddenly found their phones fascinating. Ethan and his friends froze, embarrassed. I kept my voice even. They're family guests. My nephew is staying with me all summer. This is a family gathering. Linda flipped a page in her binder like she was delivering a death sentence. The bylaws are very clear. No exceptions. I'll be posting the official notice this afternoon. She turned and walked away, hips swinging like she'd just performed a public service. The boys packed up quietly. Ethan wouldn't look at me the whole walk home. That night, the community board lit up with her official notice about Lot 84 violating guest protocols. She even mentioned it at the monthly meeting with that fake sad tone. It's so disappointing when new residents don't respect our shared standards. I sat in the back row, silent. But inside, the old forensic accountant woke up. I'd spent decades spotting patterns. This wasn't about pool rules. This was about power. And Linda Whitaker had just made the mistake of picking on the wrong quiet widow. The next week, the official certified letter arrived, 48 hours notice for a compliance hearing at her house. Of all places. The violations listed were laughable: trash cans allegedly visible, they weren't. Lawn half an inch too tall, I'd measured it myself. And my favorite, failure to uphold community harmony through proper guest management. The hearing was scheduled for the anniversary of my husband's death. I had planned to visit his grave quietly. I showed up anyway. Folder in hand. Every page of the HOA documents tabbed and highlighted. The board sat around Linda's dining table like it was the Pentagon. She opened with a PowerPoint, yes. Actual slides, about preserving our way of life and protecting property values from disruptive influences. Every third slide had a not-so-subtle jab at certain newer residents who didn't understand suburban living. When she finished, I spoke softly. Before we continue, I'd like to note 3 procedural violations and how this hearing was called. First, HOA business can't be held in a board member's private home without community notice. Second, 48 hours violates the 7-day minimum in your own bylaws. Third, none of the cited violations reference specific bylaw language. The room got very quiet. One board member, a retired teacher named Mr. Patel, shifted uncomfortably. Linda's face flushed pink under her perfect makeup. That language is outdated, she snapped. We've updated practices. I smiled politely. The original charter requires a community-wide vote to change foundational rules. Has there been one? Silence. Another board member, the treasurer, slowly shook her head. Linda pivoted hard. Perhaps Mrs. Santos is still adjusting after her recent loss. Grief can make people sensitive to structure. The air turned thick. Even her allies looked embarrassed. I gathered my papers calmly. Thank you for your time. I'll be reviewing everything more thoroughly. The board voted 4-2 to uphold the pool suspension. But the crack had formed. People had seen her true face. What followed was a masterclass in suburban intimidation. Linda organized neighborhood ambassadors, basically volunteers with cameras, who patrolled daily. My property got photographed from every angle. Fines appeared on my door for imaginary violations. Neighbors who used to wave now crossed the street. Whispers started, she's bringing drama. Doesn't fit the vibe. Maybe she's not stable after losing her husband. Linda never said it outright, she was too slick, but the message spread like cheap perfume. Ethan started staying inside more. I don't want to get you in trouble, Tia, he said one night. That hurt more than any fine. I stayed silent on the surface. But every night I worked. I requested every financial record I was legally entitled to. I cross-referenced construction bids, actual invoices, vendor contracts. By 2 a.m. most nights, the patterns emerged. The community pool and amenities had been budgeted at $2.2 million but cost only $1.45 million to build. The difference, $750,000, had vanished into consulting fees, administrative costs, and suspiciously timed deposits into companies linked to Linda's real estate network. She had steered every major contract during development and was still getting kickbacks from ongoing maintenance vendors. Landscaping billed at 40% above market. Pool service triple what comparable neighborhoods paid. All approved by the board she controlled. The harassment campaign was cover. She was terrified someone with my background would look too closely. The breaking point came on a Friday afternoon. Ethan and his friends tried using the pool during official family hours, everything by the book. Linda showed up with 2 ambassadors like a suburban SWAT team. Exit the pool immediately. Lot 84 is still suspended. They left without argument. But Linda followed them to my driveway. Voice rising. Gesturing wildly about people who don't respect community values and certain influences that lower standards. Half the block was watching from windows. I started recording on my phone without saying a word. When she finally stormed off, I emailed the video to the entire board with a formal complaint about harassment and discriminatory enforcement. The emergency meeting was called for the following week. Linda arrived ready for war. She opened by calling me unstable and obsessed, claiming my grief had made me paranoid. Then she proposed new disruptive resident fines aimed straight at me. I stood up with my thick binder and connected my laptop to the projector. The room was packed, standing room only. Phones were already out. Before we discuss new penalties, I said quietly, let's discuss where your money actually went. Slide 1, Original Budget versus Actual Costs. The $750,000 gap flashed in red. Slide 2, Emails Linda thought she deleted. Discussing profit sharing on inflated contracts. Slide 3, Bank records showing deposits into her personal accounts and shell companies right after major HOA payments. The room went dead silent except for the air conditioning. Linda's face cycled through colors, red, white, purple. Her husband, sitting in the back, suddenly found the floor fascinating. That's taken out of context, she shrieked. Standing so fast her chair fell over. I negotiated the best deals for this community. If Elena wasn't so obsessed with destroying me because I enforced basic rules on her nephew. She caught herself. But it was too late. The racist and personal undertones hung in the air like her vanilla perfume. Phones recorded every second. Residents started standing up, sharing their own stories of sudden fines and intimidation. The treasurer quietly admitted she'd been pressured to approve questionable invoices for years. Linda's meltdown was complete. She pointed at me, voice cracking. You're ruining everything we've built. I looked at her calmly. No. Linda. You did that when you stole from your own neighbors. The board meeting dissolved into chaos. Within days, the district attorney's office opened an investigation. Subpoenas flew. Linda's real estate license was suspended. Her husband stepped down from his position to spend more time with family. The viral videos of her rant did the rest. Neighbors from other HOAs started sharing similar stories. 6 months later, Linda pleaded guilty to fraud and embezzlement. She agreed to full restitution, $847,000 including penalties. The community recovered enough to eliminate dues for 2 years and actually fix the amenities instead of just billing for them. We rewrote the bylaws, mandatory independent audits, term limits for board members, transparent bidding, real community, not fear. I still sit by the pool some mornings with my coffee. Ethan comes back on breaks and brings friends, no passes required. Kids laugh in the water again. The vanilla perfume is gone, replaced by sunscreen and normal life. I didn't move here to fight. I moved here to heal. But when someone tries to control and steal from people who are just trying to live, sometimes the quietest person in the room is the most dangerous. So tell me in the comments, was I wrong for fighting back and exposing the truth? Or was Linda the real threat to the community she claimed to protect? Who was truly in the wrong here? Drop your own HOA horror stories below. You might be surprised how many of us have been living under the same quiet tyranny.